the golden haze of Caribbean dawns and the gunpowder-soaked nights of the early 1700s, a name began to echo across the waves. A name that would inspire dread from the British Carolinas to the Spanish Main. Blackbeard. But before the legend, there was a man, a ship, and a single act that would change the course of piracy forever. This is the story of how Blackbeard became Blackbeard. The year is 1717. The War of the Spanish Succession had ended just a few years prior. Thousands of sailors, privateers and mercenaries, once legitimized by national flags, now found themselves unemployed and unwanted. The Caribbean, once a theatre of war, had become a lawless ocean. Out of this chaos, piracy flourished, and among the many restless men looking for fortune, one stood out. Edward Teach, likely born in Bristol, England, had sailed as a privateer, possibly during Queen Anne's War. He was clever, educated, and ambitious. By 1716, he had joined the crew of the notorious pirate Captain Hornigold, operating out of Nassau, known as the Republic of Pirates. Under Hornigold's mentorship, Teach learned fast, raiding merchant ships, mastering strategy, and building a name for himself. He wasn't yet the flame-bearded demon of later tales, but his presence loomed larger with every raid. Then came the moment that would change everything. In late November 1717, two pirate sloops cut through the Caribbean waters off Bequia. Their prize, a French slave ship named La Concorde. This wasn't a random target. It was a calculated move. La Concorde was enormous, a 200-ton frigate built for war and modified for trade. On this voyage, she had departed West Africa weeks earlier with over 500 enslaved Africans, headed for Martinique. But the crossing had been brutal. Disease had gutted the crew. Only a handful were healthy enough to fight. Teach had either received intelligence or saw the opportunity unfolding. He struck. Blackbeard didn't charge in recklessly. He boxed the ship in with two swift armed sloops, eliminating any chance of escape. He raised the black flag. Then, he lightly fired warning shots, demonstrating his firepower without wasting men or risking damage to his prize. La Concorde, crippled by disease and outgunned, surrendered without a fight. No cannonball was needed. It was a bloodless victory, but one that would reshape piracy forever. Teach boarded the ship, and what he saw must have thrilled him. A massive hull. Deep cargo space, room for dozens of guns. He claimed her as his own. Over the following days, La Concorde was stripped, reinforced, and reborn. She would carry 40 guns, making her one of the most heavily armed pirate vessels ever seen. Her new name, Queen Anne's Revenge. A statement, a weapon, a floating fortress. And with her, Blackbeard rose from Hornigold's protege to something much more dangerous. He now had his own flagship, and the power to blockade ports, ransom cities, and write his own legend. What became of the crew of La Concorde? The French were mostly marooned on the island of Bequia. Blackbeard gave them provisions and let them go. But for Blackbeard, the moment was clear. He wasn't just a pirate anymore. He was a commander, a brand, a myth in motion. With the Queen Anne's Revenge under his feet and fear in his wake, Blackbeard began a campaign that would terrify the Atlantic. His raids grew bolder, his legend darker. But the rise that began off the coast of Bequia would lead him straight into the jaws of infamy and a bloody end off the coast of North Carolina. But that is another story.